What if you started to dance and couldn't stop? Imagine a world where dancing isn't a choice, but a compulsion, a mysterious affliction that grips you, controls you, and refuses to let go. Welcome to the strange and puzzling reality of the dancing plague, an inexplicable event from the annals of the medieval period. The year 1518 witnessed one of the most notable instances of this phenomenon. People were dancing, not for joy, but seemingly under a compulsion they couldn't resist. A truly bizarre event, isn't it? It all began in July of 1518, in the city of Strasbourg, Alsace, which is now modern-day France. A woman named Frau Trophea stepped into the spotlight of history with a peculiar act. She began to dance. Not the sort of rhythmic movement you'd expect at a festival or a ball, but a fervent, relentless dance in the middle of a street. There was no music, no celebration, yet she danced as if possessed. But the spectacle didn't end with Frau Trophea. Like a spark igniting a wildfire, her singular display of inexplicable dancing began to spread. One by one, people from all walks of life found themselves caught in this bizarre spectacle. They were drawn into the dance, their bodies swaying, twirling, and leaping in a spectacle that was far from joyful. This was no ordinary dance. Those caught in its grip didn't seem to be reveling in the joy of movement or the rhythm of a melody. Their faces were not alight with pleasure, but twisted in exhaustion and fear. They were caught in a trance-like state, their bodies moving of their own accord. What began with one woman had grown into a mass phenomenon. By the end of a month, close to 400 people were consumed by this uncontrollable urge to dance. The city of Strasbourg was in the grip of something inexplicable and terrifying. The streets that were usually filled with the humdrum of daily life were now stages for this eerie performance. The city had transformed into a grand yet dreadful theater, where the performers danced not out of choice but compulsion. Day and night, under the sun and the stars, they danced. They danced until their bodies gave in to exhaustion, until their feet were bloodied and bruised. Imagine a city filled with people dancing uncontrollably day and night. It was a sight both fascinating and terrifying. As you can imagine, this wasn't a festive scene, it was pure chaos. The relentless, uncontrollable dancing wasn't just peculiar, it was physically devastating. Imagine your body forced into a marathon of constant movement, without rest, without relief. The human body, as resilient as it is, has its limits. The dancers were pushed to the brink of their endurance, their bodies racked with exhaustion. Legs became leaden, hearts pounded in chests like wild drums, breaths grew ragged and desperate. The toll was brutal. People danced themselves into a frenzy, their hearts unable to withstand the strain. Heart attacks became a grimly common sight, bodies dropping to the ground, their movements stilled forever. Others, worn down to their last thread of energy, simply fell and never rose again. Death, it seemed, had become an unexpected partner in this macabre dance. Meanwhile, authorities grappled with the growing crisis. How does one stop a plague of dancing? Their response, baffling as it might seem today, was to encourage even more dancing. They believed, with an almost naive optimism, that the dancers needed only to dance the madness out of their systems. Dance halls were hastily erected, musicians were summoned to play tireless tunes, and professional dancers were brought in to join the fray. This was not a decision born from malice or indifference, but from a desperate lack of understanding. Who could blame them? This was a phenomenon that defied logic, that flew in the face of everything they knew. The authorities were at a loss, grappling with a mystery that seemed to dance always one step out of their reach. But this misguided attempt to solve the crisis only served to fan the flames. More people joined the dance, their bodies swaying and jerking to the relentless rhythm. The dance halls became a surreal sight of ceaseless movement, a whirl of bodies caught in the grip of an unseen puppeteer. But their attempts were in vain. The dancing only seemed to intensify. Then, just as mysteriously as it started, the dancing plague came to an end. Abruptly, the wild dancing ceased, and the streets of Strasbourg fell silent once more. It was as if an unseen conductor had lifted his baton for the final time, leaving in his wake a town bewildered and a history forever marked by the peculiar plague. So what brought about the end of this strange epidemic? The answer remains as elusive as the reason for its commencement. Yet several theories have surfaced over the centuries, each as captivating as the last. Let's traverse the fascinating realm of hypotheses. One of the most enduring explanations is the concept of mass hysteria, a phenomenon where collective illusions of threats spread rapidly through a population. This theory suggests that the stress of living in a time of famine and disease may have tipped the townsfolk over the edge, leading to this bizarre outbreak of uncontrollable dancing. Another compelling theory is ergotism, a condition caused by consuming rye bread infected with the fungus Claviceps purpurea. This fungus produces ergot alkaloids, substances that can induce hallucinations, spasms, and a host of other effects. It's quite conceivable that the townsfolk, unknowingly ingesting this psychedelic fungus, could have danced themselves into a frenzy. Or perhaps the explanation lies in a blend of the two theories. Could it be that a town under the spell of ergot-infected bread, already teetering on the brink of despair, succumbed to a mass hysteria that manifested itself in a dance of despair? It's also worth noting that some historians propose religious fervor or even a staged event as potential explanations. However, these theories, much like the others, cannot provide a definitive answer. And so we're left with a historical enigma, a dance macabre that defies explanation. To this day, the dancing plague of 1518 remains one of history's most bizarre and unexplained events. So we journeyed back to 1518, to a time when dancing could be deadly. We've delved into the outbreak that gripped Strasbourg, causing chaos with its uncontrollable dancing frenzy. We've explored the desperate attempts to solve this peculiar plague, and the riveting theories that have emerged over the centuries. From mass hysteria to ergot poisoning, the dancing plague continues to baffle us. Will we ever truly understand what caused the dancing plague? Maybe not. But it's these mysteries that make history so intriguing, isn't it?